Hello, everyone. We've made it, third month into the year. Huzzah!
Huzzah!
Let us know if you can hear us in the chat, if you can see us in the chat, or if you can't, also let us know because you can't hear us, whatever it'd be a thing. This month, we have the ever-present, and I think depending on where you're looking at me, you're either below me or over there. We have PineFruit joining us, and this is an amazing, momentous thing. We were just chatting off screen and found out we have a lot in common, so we might just start rambling. So stop us and ask questions, please. That's the
Absolutely.
That's gonna be the big thing on this one. So we are on what are we on? We just got an update too, so I want to make sure that people know what version we're on. So 39.51, so it's a little update from last 2 weeks ago, whenever it was. That was kind of a thing. So that we're on that one. Hello, we got people here from K-State. Yay! So good to see you, gentlemen. We always welcome teachers as well as people that are working on this stuff as students and people that are just joining in. We are Cleverlike. My name is Ian Southwell. I'm the creative director here. And my job is really to make sure that as people are jumping into this platform, hello, welcome, they feel welcome to it. Everybody is a beginner at some point. I've been there. I've done this for many, many years. I still remember picking up the engine the first time and being like, this is a lot of really interesting stuff. There's a lot of buttons. What in the world do I do? So we want to alleviate those kinds of problems. We have a whole host of stuff to kind of show you. I'm going to go into a spiel, but before I do, PineFruit, please introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm PineFruit.
And done.
Verse developer in this space, tool maker, and community builder within the UEFN space. I've been here for the last 3 years now, and excited to see where this podcast goes.
So you got here kind of at the beginning of this, like right as it was rolling out of alpha or beta, right then?
Yeah, I believe it was in June or July of that year. Verse was brand new. We had just gotten some, I think the Warforged tutorials had just dropped.
Yes.
For any of our Verse people out there.
Absolutely. Yeah. There's a hello, welcome. Those tutorials were huge. I remember watching those and this is one of the things we were talking about off stage, is that I'm an artist by trade, right? So we're both artists, and to learn, actual written code. Now I had known Blueprint, so that was really what it was that would actually push what I had known by coding, and then I started jumping into Verse. Already got some questions. Awesome. So real quick one, what is the app called? So we are going to be talking about the Unreal Editor for Fortnite, so UEFN, so developing inside of Fortnite and making games inside of there. Real quick, I'm going to take a quick tangent. I know there's a lot of people in here that play a lot of our Minecraft stuff, so quick couple little Minecraft things. So for those that are paying attention, right? So the first Minecraft thing, we are aware of the bugs inside of the horse ranch. And yes, they are currently going through and being fixed. And we're waiting for that stuff to actually roll through. So they're coming. Thank you for letting us know. We appreciate all the feedback. Like any game design, always give feedback about what's going on. So yes, there are bugs that are coming. There are bugs that are fixed, the fixes are coming. The other thing, so this is the second part of it. We have an announcement. We have a new plugin that's coming along. Not a new plugin, but a new game mode. It's called Fainting Goats. So I can't talk about it too much, but if you know what a fainting goat is, then you probably have an idea of what's coming. If you don't, go look up what a fainting goat is. It's actually very funny. Our animator and our programmer on the Minecraft side have been working on it hardcore, and there's some really funny, silly, fun things that are coming. So those are the two things that we know about. The bugs in the horse ranch, they're being fixed. It's going through getting fixed on that. We're waiting it to actually roll out. It's in the pipeline, and we've got some more Fainting Goats fun stuff that's coming out. So for my Minecraft people, thank you for watching. Please leave more comments in there. We'll try and get all those things that are in there. Okay. What else? You have been working on a project, and this is the reason that I had actually reached out to you, because you talked about being a community manager. Tell us about this little thing that you're doing, or this big thing. It's actually not tiny by any means.
Yeah. So last month or so, I started up UEFNiverse, which is basically a play on words. We got universe, UEFN, verse, and everything in there. And basically the idea behind this is just to help lower that bar of entry for new people trying to come into the UEFN space. Right now, I feel like most people, they try to kind of gatekeep information and keep everything secretive because they're afraid of the competition. But when we all work together, it raises the tides as a whole, and we're able to go further together. So with UEFNiverse, we're trying to offer open source verse repository where people can both contribute to, help improve, and take from any free verse devices that they'd like.
So where can they get access to this?
Yeah, so if you head over to discord.gg/UEFNiverse, it'll go ahead and direct you there, and we'll go ahead and get that link pasted in the chat for you as well.
Here goes.
And we aim to continue to add more things to the server as we go. Last week, we introduced a paid playtesting initiative, which is kind of just as a test. We had somebody who really needed playtesters, so we went ahead and offered to pay the playtesters to come playtest this map for a few hours, and that all ended up going really well. And in that, we had a few other people reach out and ask to purchase playtesters to help play their maps. So if you are offering any tools that you want to share in the UEFN space, or if you want to playtest or get playtesters, feel free to reach out to me.
And you talk about the tools that are coming here, and this is one of the things that I personally have been waiting for, and I know I've talked about this publicly in the past, is, inside of Unreal Engine, we can build all kinds of tools. Like, it's phenomenal. We call them blutilities sometimes, right? They're amazing. And we don't quite have that same kind of tool set here inside of UEFN yet. However, using things like scene graph and verse code, we can create tools that kind of do things on the fly. And I know I've posted this, it was probably about a year ago. I ended up building a device that would allow us, you could take a verse device, you just drop it in the world, and then inside the details panel, you go through and you're like, oh, well, I want these specific items like trees and rocks, right? And then it'll scatter them over a specific area. And what's fun about it is that it does something different every single time, which can be both good and bad, right? The good thing about it is that the player is never going to experience the same game every time. And we often talk about in game design, we talk about how if the experience is the same every single time, why would you play it, right? Like if you've already read a book, like if you know how Harry Potter ends, why read the book, right? But if you go back and play it and it's a little bit different, like you're gonna have something that's more enjoyable. And I would never say that you shouldn't go back and read Harry Potter books because they're amazing. They're pieces that you forget, right? Our brains are not exactly 100%, catching everything that goes into it. But, any book, I'll say just any book in general, right? Or you go back and play like Zelda games. You're like, oh, I know how it ends. I know exactly how to beat Ganondorf at the end of the game. Like, that's fine. But, getting there is always a random kind of chance, which is super cool. So cool. Thank you. This is an awesome opportunity for people to come in and check all this stuff out. Again, keep dropping questions in the chats. I know there was just the one at the top, but I want you all to be able to get your questions answered because it's very common to get stuck in these specific setups. So I know there's some new toys that have actually dropped recently. I know the interface has changed quite a bit, but there are some things that I've been posting on social media where people are like, I didn't even know that existed inside of the game engine. Like, where did that stuff come from? And here's some stuff that's actually comes helpful for beginners as they're starting to play with this stuff. And it lives, and I'm going to zoom in on this. You can see this up here at the very top of the screen. It's this little guy right here. Most people don't even know that this is here, especially when they first jump in. They're like, what are those? What is that tiny little number up there? And this is actually the speed of the camera, because if we're building a world like, I don't know, Skyrim or Hyrule, right? We want the camera to move pretty quickly, right? Oh, no, not now. There we go, right? But if we want to slow the camera down, oh, and I'm getting a glitch right here if I hold down the right mouse button. I love it when it does this. Okay, there we go. We can actually, and you can watch this number up here. I'll zoom in on it so you can see it, right? As I'm zooming in from place to place, if I use my scroll wheel, I can slow the camera down, which is really helpful because if we're down inside of a dungeon, we want to be able to move slowly, right? But we can move very quickly to get from point A to point B too. So I'm just using the scroll wheel, and you can see that up there in the top right-hand corner of what's going on. So little things like that is always helpful for people to know when they're jumping into this. Make it easy, make it easy. The other one that I always stand on my soapbox for, and I'm going to come to a really interesting point about this, is that down here in the bottom right, we have revision control. Now, this is something, I talk about this in the classroom, and PineFruit, you can probably attest to this as well, is that, it's people are like, oh, you got to know these industry standard things. I'm like, this is not an industry standard though, man. This is like a necessity. Like, could we build games and software without this? Like, could we?
No, not collaboratively for sure. And even when you're on your own, having the ability to roll back if you end up making any mistakes, because mistakes happen, and in game dev, a mistake can easily break your game. Being able to go back to the day prior, before you decided to pull that all-nighter is always a good call.
Oh my gosh, yes. I was watching a podcast with Lex, and I can't remember his last name, but he interviewed Tim Sweeney, and Tim Sweeney was talking about how, for those of you who don't know who Tim Sweeney is, go look him up. And he was talking about when he was developing, I don't even think it was Unreal, it might have been, he was, you get to a point where you've been up for 3 days and like you just can't compute anymore, right? And he's like, and there's a special part about that where you forget the things that you've done, so you keep trying things over and over and over. Revision control is great because you can like go to bed and like submit it and then get up, go get some sleep, by all means. You'll need it, I promise you.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, that's pretty funny, that the state that he talks about, because it's absolutely true. And you're past the point of being able to make the good judgment call to go to bed. Like,
I have no idea what you're talking about. That's weird. Oh my gosh, so good. So I'm curious to kind of hear about your background and how you came into what it is. While we're waiting for some questions to come in here, right? How did you get into this stuff? Like, because I mentioned that we're artists, and so yeah, let's hear a little bit about it. It's always fun to hear these backstories.
Yeah. So, I mean, before this, I was doing illustration work and working. I used to own a packaging company back in the day, doing stationery and stuff. However, my younger brother ended up bringing in more than my annual salary in about a month or so, and said it was through Fortnite, and I laughed my pants off. And then went back to doing my gruesome day job, making not enough money, working way too many hours. And then the next day or next month, he doubled his income, and I'm like, okay, how do I get in on this? So he offered to bring me in for $3,000 a month, just starting out as a verse dev. He said he really needed somebody to help with these more advanced mechanics in his maps. Everything that he'd done before hadn't used any verse. So I was like, you know what, I've got some coding experience. I went ahead and jumped into it full force. Realized that game development is a different kind of beast altogether. I had some trials, had some errors, but altogether it's been an amazing journey. Awesome. Since then, I've just been doing contract work, helping other people out with any projects they have, helping get their communities running for them and stuff. And I've worked with many leading names in this space.
You're allowed to drop names. It's okay if you feel like you need to.
But yeah, I've worked with companies. The big ones I want to bring attention to are Chartist Games. Like, they are an incredible resource in this space. If you guys ever need anything, definitely reach out to them.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we've actually run across Chartist a few times with some of the stuff that we've done in the past, either helping them find developers or just kind of working in general, or little projects that they've done or presentations that they've had, and they've been amazing. We've run into them a couple times at the Unreal Fest. So wonderful group. Absolutely, highly suggest chatting with them and working with them. They've always got these ideas.
The big thing that sets Chartist apart is they're always interested in not necessarily building themselves up, but how can we help you become better at what you do? How can we elevate you as your own studio? They don't want you to come in and join the Chartist studio necessarily. Like, they want to help you build your brand.
That's awesome.
That's what makes them so powerful, I'd say.
Yeah, they've done super fun things. I know that they've worked with quite a few people in other areas too. So yeah, big props for Chartist. If y'all are watching, we appreciate what you're doing for the community. It's super cool. So the thing that I also wanted to bring up, because we kind of talked about this off stage before we jumped in, I want to bring it up again, is that one of the things that you had mentioned was that as a verse developer, when you start working with other people, they start asking you for things. You're like, I never would have thought about it, and like how that actually like that elevates your skill. Like what were some of the things that you were just like, oh, I don't know that, I need to know that? Like, talk about that process.
Yeah, I mean, a big part of it, to be honest with you, is figuring out how simple things that look complicated can be. Like, so if we're gonna do a throwback real fast, do you remember the super power box PvP maps that we had?
I do
Like
remember
they were
those. Yeah.
going crazy. And when I first started out doing gig work, I had like a $50, $100 listing on Fiverr, and I'm like, I'll give you 10 powers. So ended up having to go through, come up with all kinds of different powers, and figure out how they were made. And some of them, as much as placing down a class selector and turning on like infinite ammo or something. And was surprising. I expected them to be a little bit more than that. So I'd say that was probably a big one. And then the other one is, going and doing any gig work to jump in on somebody else's project where they have existing code or existing structure in place, and being able to see just how they've organized their project, how they organize their code, how they write their code. Like that's by far one of the largest learning capabilities that I've had, is just being able to compare work, which... Shameless plug, another good reason to check out UEFNiverse. We've got all kinds of code for you to just look at.
Yeah. I mean, the comment you make is, looking at how they've organized it. I mean, this is assuming they've organized it. Like, I've definitely walked into
or lack of, for sure.
Like, oh gosh, where do I find things? I'm like, there's so much bloat inside of this project. Like, how do we get rid of this? And that's actually something that we can talk about too. Like, how do you get rid of bloat inside of a project? But before we do, I want to kind of stay on this topic about jumping onto somebody else's project and playing with it. And this is a plug for us as well here at Cleverlike, is one of the things that we do is we do game jams. We have already done, let's start here. We've already done 2 game jams this year. Where we went, the first one, so this is Elite Gaming, we actually went out to New York and working with high school students, as well as training teachers. So some of the stuff that we do is we go and train teachers to use these tools, Minecraft as well as Fortnite, inside the classroom. So very rarely will you ever hear, go play Fortnite in the classroom. And we're like, go play Fortnite in the classroom, right? Like, go do these things, right? We want you to get in there and play it. We had an amazing time with this, working with the students. In this case, it was a lot of students that were inside inner city, so they often don't have these opportunities. Elite Gaming is an amazing place. Please go check it out if you're in the New York area and see what they've got inside of there. They do amazing work with just having group come in and like work on things, as well as they do obviously game jams. We did a game jam with them. Looking forward to the next one that's coming in there. Highly suggest go checking them out. I think we had like 13 students sign up for it and actually get all the way through it. So, 13 students came in. We had 12 games come out. We had a couple of them that couldn't make it the second day. So that's what it was. But this is an attest to what Epic has created in their ability to make an engine that just allows you to make a game in like 48 hours, because you had 48 hours to make it, right? So there was that. Just recently, we got back from Palm Beach out in Florida. So we're in Colorado, so you can see we're flying around all over the place, and worked with the students that were over there. Both of these videos are on our website. Actually, I'm covering them up with our faces. We're going to disappear for just a moment on our YouTube, so you can check these things out. And this is another attest to the teachers that are over there. Absolutely amazing teachers getting these students ready in these programs, and they're esports, right? So the students have got access to a bunch of computers that they typically don't have access to. And the games in this one, we had 28 students, and we had 27 games finalized. And the reason we didn't have that last one is there was this glitch at the end of it. And because the student wasn't using revision control, we couldn't fix it. And I was like, oh no, we were so close. So please use revision control. It's such a good thing to have. We had racing games, we had parkour games. We had one student go through and recreate the hardest game in the world, I think is what he was calling it. It was a remake of a game that came out on Flash, ever so many years ago, and nailed it and ended up winning, the Student Choice Award, because all the students really enjoyed it. So while we were there, we were also training teachers on how to use this stuff again, right? So you can see this, we're always out trying to help people learn all this stuff as much as possible. So when you want us to come out and join your school, let us know. We've got another one lined up at the end of this month, if I remember correctly. We're going to go out to UNCG, so North Carolina, out there kind of near Epic headquarters, actually, and be working with them. Again, we've been working with them for a couple of years. So again, we're going to be doing a game jam, as well as teaching the teachers in the area how to use all this stuff. So we have a bunch of pieces that are coming in there. One last little plug that I want to drop in here really quick, and I will grab... Oh, of course, I don't have it in here. I bet it's over here.
Great to see you, Maestro.
Hey, hello. Good to see you, buddy. I just saw. I need to sit down and play your battleships game because yeah, that looks amazing. I'm super excited to see it how that comes together. I know you've been working on it for a day and a half, plus a few. Oh, it's going to be quiet for just a second. I apologize. We're going to bring this up. Okay. So we have this for more community stuff. Speaking of Maestro himself, if you come up here to the top, we have Maestro up here. If you would like to take classes from him directly, we want to be able to compensate him for his time. If he wants to go ahead and do that, of course he knows. And you can get classes directly from me as well through here. We also have another area, and this part's for the teachers. Whoops. Here we go. So we have a Cleverlike school that you can actually go through for the teachers and learn about all this stuff, because we know that kids are going to be playing these video games. So let's take them from being a player and turn them into a creator, right? Whether it's esports, right? Whether we're working inside of UEFN, whether we're playing with the Rube Goldberg project, which I can talk about that for days. I love that project. It's so much fun. There's a competition through the Rube Goldberg Institution right now that's actually happening. So, but enough plugs. I just wanted to make sure that everybody saw some of that stuff. Let's go and jump into the engine a little bit. So one of the things I would like to talk about, a couple of days lull, he says, a couple of things that I want to talk about.
Cameras as well. You got it.
Yep. Yep. Oh, I got you. I'm going to pick my nose while I'm on camera because I'm that kind of, I'm that classy. So what I want to talk about today, because we're talking a little bit about verse in here, is our components and kind of how components can work, as well as what SceneGraph allows us to do. Because we've had this stuff inside of Unreal Engine as blueprints, and it's shifting, and we're finding that the people that are going to be coming into working with SceneGraph may not know it because they're working, on these AAA games and they just don't have time to look at it. So we here at this ground level have already got things that we can play with. So when Unreal Engine and UEFN combine into Unreal 6, so we're told, we'll be ready for the job market. That's amazing. So
absolutely.
Simple idea. Let's go into the content drawer, and I'm going to go ahead and create a new folder because I'm going to keep everything nice and organized. And we're going to call this prefabs. All right, so we have our prefabs folder. Inside of here, I'll go ahead and open that one up. Go ahead and right click, and I'm going to go ahead and add an entity prefab. I'll zoom in on this so you can all see this in the replay, right? So there's our entity prefab. Go ahead and add one of these. All right, zoom out. So let's call this one PF because it's a prefab. And what should we build? Any ideas? Any thoughts? Should we do the terrible door thing that we always do?
Let's do, how about vanishing tiles? That's a fun
we do
one.
A vanishing tile? Okay. Oop, I'm going to get rid of that tab. We're going to do that one. VNI. There we go. One of the things about being a dyslexic artist is that spelling is always so difficult. So when I misspell stuff, drop it in the chat and tell me what I'm doing wrong, please. All right. So here is our vanishing tile. And I'm going to have you help me build this too, because I'm not sure where you were going with this. We're going to go ahead and double click on it, open it up. Now this little editor will allow us to add a bunch of fun things to it. I'm an artist, so I'm going to build my own tile. So let's go ahead and just dock this up here at the top. I'm going to go into selection or mode, and I'm going to go into our modeling mode. So inside of here, I want to make my own tile. I'm just going to make a square tile that fits inside of our grid that's on our world. All right. So up here inside of create, we're going to go into a box. All right. Inside of the box, I can choose how big this is. Now, if I just pull my mouse out, you see I've got a cube. I'm going to just click and drop that in there. I want this to be the 512 by 512 square that is a Fortnite tile or a Fortnite unit, depending on who you talk to. So width, and I'll zoom in on this so you can see what I'm typing in here. So the width will say 512, and our depth will say 512. And I know it's kind of off screen, but you can see it's actually changing over here. Now, I don't want it to be that tall, so let's say 50. That should be tall enough. And those are centimeter units. Okay, that's what these are coming in here. I'm going to zoom out on this one. I hear clicking in the background. It's going to be amazing. Now, the last thing that we need to do, and I'm going to move this out of the way here, is we need to actually accept this. We could add a material to it. I'm going to do that next because we can. I do want a new folder, though, because that's how I roll. So materials. Let's just make a simple material. So I'll right-click inside of here. We'll go ahead and choose material. All right, there it is. like so. And inside of here, we'll say M underscore, I'll call this one master, because we may make material instances out of this. If you don't know what materials are and you don't know what material instances are, I'm going to skip a lot of the nitty gritty details, but we have tutorials that cover all that on our YouTube channel, on our creator school, inside of our LMS school that we're building, like all that stuff. So you'll have all the things that need to go with it. Oh my goodness. Shader compiler, you are not suspicious. Don't worry about it. You're going to fight me. That's fine. All right. Let's go ahead and bring in a color in here. So I just held down the 3 key and clicked in the grid so I can create a constant 3. So this gives me a color. If I double click on it, let's go with purple because most people can see purple. I'm choosing colors that are not going to be a problem for most people, like red and green. Okay, so now that I have that, we're going to go back into selection mode. Let's go back into here and grab my material and drop this on here. So now we have a little tile in here that is a mesh. If we want the player to stand on this, we need to make sure that it has collision. So I'm going to, with this one selected, actually, yeah, with this one selected, I'm going to hit Control E as an echo. This is going to open up the editor for this, and there it is. I also want that purple up here too. I want this on the master main one. If we go up to collision, we'll zoom in on this so you can see it. Oh, hey, what are you doing here? Get out of here. You will see that we have no collision. It's grayed out. I can't remove anything. So let's go and grab a box. And now, very faintly, you can see there is a green outline. Yeah, you can see that in there. Is actually showing that I have collision on this thing, which is good. So now the player can bump into it. Let's go ahead and save that. Also, box name. This is a terrible name. Meshes. We're going to name this one S. Let's call it tile. Make it a little easier to find. Okay, so we've created a prefab, and now we've created a model that is going to go inside that prefab. So let's go back up to our vanishing tile in here, and I'm going to go ahead and add in a component that is going to hold onto that little tile that we just created. So up here at the top, this is our root, right? Way up here, this is the root of it. I'm going to start adding it to the root, unless the code that we need needs to change it, but we can do this. And right here, I'll move this up so we can see it. We can add a component. If I were to go ahead and search for S_tile, whoops, right? You'll notice that nothing is popping up. And you're like, well, why? What happened? Where did it go? Well, the reason that it hasn't showed up yet is we haven't told the engine to actually compile that information that we just created. So I got to take a step back, right? Go up here to verse. We'll say compile the verse code like so. All right, now when we come in here, let's try that again. S_tile. There it is. Boom. There it is. Look at that. It's so pretty. Save everything. Save everything. Okay. So now we have our tile in here. And PineFruit, this is where I'm going to have you. I heard clicking. I was hoping you were writing some code back there. Maybe you can transfer that code to me. Maybe I'm just putting you on the spot. What?
Yeah. So I could give you some code, but I was thinking it might be more beneficial for us to show people the Fortnite Developer Assistant because it is decent with components, and with something this simple, we might be able to show them how they can just generate code and have it try to get that to work.
I think that's an amazing idea. And one of the things the reason I think this is amazing is that we know that AI is not going anywhere, regardless of whether we want it to stop or not. It's going to be around for a minute. Like there's not much we can do about that. It's out in the wild, like it's been released. So let's use it as a tool because it is very much a tool. And my thought on this too, I think this is a great idea. I'm glad you bringing this up, is that AI is not a replacement. Okay. Here's a quick analogy. When photography first came out, a lot of painters were freaking out that they were going to lose their job, and they kind of did. However, look at what photography's turned into now. Like we have phones that can like take pictures, right? This new technology, this AI thing is a tool, and we're going to be able to use it. It's going to create new jobs in the future. Yes, it's going to replace some. That's just how it goes. But for those that are kind of paying attention to what's going on in the AI world, it's certainly slowing down at the moment. So let's go ahead and use this thing. Down in the bottom right-hand corner, and I will zoom in on this too, you will notice that we actually have our little Ask AI button. Hopefully y'all can see this. It's way down here. By clicking on this, it'll bring up the assistant. Fingers crossed. There was a bug and it was bringing up the Unreal Assistant before. Oh, hey, we got UEFN. And you can see that it's UEFN because it actually says right here. So there's that. So what kind of a prompt should we drop into this thing, PineFruit?
So if we were going with disappearing, it
Okay.
could be based off of it being stepped on. So we could say, craft me a scene graph component for a vanishing tile, or for a tile which vanishes after it's been stepped on.
Okay. So real quick, so we're just asking it for just to be stepped on. We're not even getting specifics as far as like a player or an NPC, correct?
Nope, just after it's been stepped on in general.
Okay. SCENE. I forgot an E in there. I know there's some AIs that are really, really good. Step to have two P's.
Yeah.
After it's been stepped on. Okay. We'll go ahead and open this one up. Let's see what we get. This is always like, wait for it. Wait
Right.
for
And
it.
it's kind of like you want to give it as, if you've got a clear understanding of what you're looking for, then you can go
Mhm.
ahead and give it more specifics. But I mean, for something where, you're not really sure what you want, but you think it's this kind of mechanic, like just give it something simple, see what it gives you.
Gives it. Okay. I'm going to bring this up and I'm going to zoom in on it here so we can see what's going on, right? So it's giving us an answer. So open the Verse Explorer, create a new component. Cool. So then we have in here, now this is where every time I use this, because I do use this too, by the way, for anybody that's curious, I go through and I start reading this because I'm curious to see what it's going to give me back. So we've got a component in here. This looks pretty good. We have a variable. So we've got a variable logic. For those that don't understand what a logic is, versus new to you, and you're used to other languages, logics are very similar to bools or booleans. So they're on or off. So true or false, ones or zero. Right? So on begin stipulation, we're going to go ahead and get some information here, not important for what we're doing. And we're going to check to see if we actually need, or sorry, we're going to check to see if something exists. Now, something I want to talk about, or maybe you can explain this, right? Like, why do we use these if statements in here? Why are we doing these checks as opposed to just getting it?
Yeah, so that's so that we are able to it's basically a failable expression. So
Mhm.
if the mesh component exists, we're checking the entity and we're getting the mesh component from it. If there's not a mesh associated with that, then it'll silently fail and it'll
Mhm.
allow our code to keep running without it crashing the server, basically.
Mhm. Mhm. So
Um,
if it exists, then do something. If it doesn't exist, don't worry about it. Just move on.
correct.
Yeah. Cool. Okay, so then we're going to go ahead and play. We're going to execute this little method or function, depending on who you're talking to, right? So this on entity entered, and that is this one down here. We're going to see if another entity has entered it. And then
If
if
it's
it's,
not already vanished, we'll go ahead and mark it as vanished. And
right?
then we're going to go ahead and get that mesh component one more time, and we're just going to disable it.
So they're doing disable. They're not even doing visibility, which I will point out. Get this out of the way. I'll leave this on screen so just in case we need it. Bring it down just a tiny bit, right? Okay, so this, let's see if I can get it all on screen one moment, right? So this right here, this disable, right? So what it's doing is it's looking at this component, remember this thing that we just built in here? And we've got this enabled checkbox. So it's basically just going to turn this off. Now, we asked for it to vanish, right? And another way to interpret this is actually just make it not visible.
Correct.
So PineFruit, what's the difference between doing something like enabled and doing something like visible?
I'm not entirely certain for this instance. I mean, hypothetically, if it is collidable and we only make it invisible, then there could still be collision there.
Yes.
If we disable it, then hopefully the collision gets disabled with it.
It should get disabled with it. Like that's the way that the code's written on the back end, so we don't have to deal with it. So if something is enabled, you can collide with it and you can see it, right?
Mhm.
If it's disabled, you can't see it and you cannot collide with it. However, if you just make it invisible, you can still bump into it. So it's an interesting little distinction that happens to go in there. There's there's a comment in the chat over here. The dev isn't great for guys that can't code like me. As an artist, I've very much appreciated it, and as a teacher, I think that it's great for me to learn from and then to work with it. I know there are a lot of people like don't use it; it's terrible. It is terrible code, but I think this is actually pretty good. So let's go ahead and copy this. Let's go ahead and grab our Verse Explorer and create a new verse file, and we will.
Troy, in regards to your most recent question, when writing verse code, do you two usually start with an AI generated code? if I don't know what I'm doing, or if I don't already have a template, then it's always better to start out with a rough draft. It's a lot easier to edit a template and get it to where you want it to be than trying to go into an empty code file and write it all out. So I would say yes, until you get an understanding that you can go into that empty code file and you already know what you're going to write.
Excellent question. Okay, so I've created a new verse one. Now, what I want to point out is that I'm using, as of this recording, there's a couple of templates in here. I'm using the scene graph component that's inside of here. Okay, I'm not using these other ones that are up here on top because they do other things. This one is specific for what we need. And it does tell us to do this. So first click on the component. No, it doesn't actually say that one. Create a verse file, name it. Yeah, so it's not actually saying it. We could do a blank one. Is this one? Oh, it says create empty. Okay, cool. Then we'll just create an empty one. That'll work. Wait for it. VS Code should pop up. You can see that our project has now created our piece up here. Okay, VS Code doesn't seem to want to pop up. I'm going to hit the button and make it show up then. Wait for it. Thank you, subtitles. It said BS, not VS. Thank you. Okay, so here we have our empty script. We're going to select all that and paste all of our copy code. Ooh, we get a verification that's been copied now. Ooh, I like that. Okay, so here it is. So now we have this in here, and immediately we don't have any errors. We'll make this bigger.
That's a good sign.
That's the first thing you check. So this looks like it's doing what it needs to be doing, which is super cool. I'm going to go ahead and save this, and I'm going to build it here as well. There's a little button up here in the top right that allows us to build. I've got a hotkey for it because I'm a hotkey guy, always doing those things. Okay. So then let's just kind of walk through what this is actually talking about in here. I know what to do, but I want to make sure that everybody kind of does too, right? So we're going to build our code, right? So that's what I just did on the other side. And now we'll be able to see this in the content browser. That's cool. Inside of here, in the content browser, oh, that's actually telling us to build the prefab definition, which we already have done. So we'll do that. Place the prefab in the whale. Okay, so now we need to add this component to the object. So we've got two options for doing this. One, we can either add it directly here inside of the viewport, totally legitimate way to do it and a great way to like kind of test. But this right here, this thing, this is a static mesh. This is not the actual prefab that we created. So I'm going to delete it. And the reason that I can tell, and I'm going to zoom in on this, because this is another one of those little tiny subtle things. Whenever I'm working with teachers and they're sending me screenshots or videos, please send me the whole picture, the whole everything, because little things like this icon right here lets me know what kind of an object this is in the world. So this little cinder block tells me that it's a static mesh. So I don't want a static mesh. I want the prefab. So if I grab our prefab and I have a folder for this, right? So drag it in. It looks exactly the same, but you'll notice that the icon is different. Okay, we can add it to this one. I don't like doing it that way. I'm not going to lie. I would much rather go in here and do it this way. So
cleaner.
The what's up?
It's much cleaner.
Yes, especially for later when you're working in your project. You're like, oh, did I add it to that thing? Did I not add it to that thing? What did I do? Right? Okay, so we need to add this component that we just created, this that we wrote right here. Whoops, this thing, we need to add it to here. So if we go into component and if we do a search for tile, we should see our vanishing tile component, which we do. Right? And I'll zoom in on this so you can see it a little easier. So component, tile. Here we have our vanishing tile component. Now, if you don't see this, make sure that you do the build verse code thing that I was telling, and it'll pop up, right? So now we have that in there. Okay, it is now attached. I'm going to save everything. And this is where we get to kind of wait a little bit because we do need to launch this session. Where is this in relation to my spawn pads? And I'm going to get rid of one of these and face this at my object and set it nice and close. And then go ahead and launch our session because I know what it's going to take. Now, one of the things to note is that we have created a new asset. And if you've already got Fortnite running, you're going to have to push your changes. And there will be a big push changes button up here at the top that will allow you to actually push all this stuff through. I don't need to do that because I'm actually launching a session and bringing up brand new. And I think we got a new little image that's on here. Hey, that's fun. Well, hello there. Good to meet you. As you have questions, y'all, please drop them in the chat. We got plenty of time to start answering all the questions. All the things.
Before you guys ask, my favorite color is purple.
Oh boy, I nailed that one in one go. I didn't even have to try. See, when people ask me that, I'm always like, well, it's actually two colors, but it's also the absence of color, right? It's all colors. It's all colors, but it's the absence of color because it depends on what color space you're working in. Because black and white are very much that.
Very true.
Is it RGB? We're talking CMYK, like nerd. There is a known issue that sometimes pops up the first time that you launch directly from the engine into Fortnite. Not everything goes through. So I'm going to stop the game and then start the game again just to be sure that we catch everything. That's what it is. Because I got a feeling if I step on this thing, it's not going to disappear, but it doesn't disappear. Okay. So we're going to end our game. And we'll see if this works. And if it doesn't, we can always troubleshoot it too. I could step on it now. I think it'll work. No. Let's see here. Wait for it. Okay, we'll drop in. Okay, it's not vanishing. Ooh. So the real question is, how do we bug
I don't think we put any log prints in there either.
Yep, that's what I was going to say. How do we log print this stuff? So mesh component, I know we have a mesh component, right? So it's looking for the mesh component, and it's going to be calling this. So inside of here, let's add a way to check to see if this is running. Print, we'll say, has been stepped. Has been stepped on. All right, so we'll save that. I'm going to build the verse code. I've got a hotkey for that. And then I've also got a hotkey for pushing it through to the engine, which is actually just this little button that's way up here in the top right as well. But if we come back to here, it should be in edit mode. Yep, and thinking. I see your question in the chat. Okay, I'm not seeing any print statement actually popping up here in the top right. So looking at the code, and I'm pretty sure it's doing what it's supposed to be doing, but the question is, why isn't it interacting with it? So we may need to figure that out. And actually, I know the player is an entity, so we know that that is a thing. I cannot check.
I wonder if it's the on-begin simulation. Like if we're calling the initialization properly.
Okay.
Let me hang tight for just a sec. I'll let you troubleshoot real fast. I'm going to just kind of pull up the code.
And I'll answer some comments that are going in here too. So one of them is, I'm assuming we'll never have the ability to run the client and editor like we do in Unreal. So for those of you that have never played inside of Unreal, we have a thing called Pi that's in there. It's called Play in Editor. And we can actually play directly in the viewport, which is really amazing because it makes debugging and testing things way faster. Not that Fortnite is slow and UEFN is slow. It's just that, saving, 10 seconds every time is huge in development. So it looks, so it takes forever for your project to start going. So as of right now, there's no way to do a play in editor setup. What we have is we have the connection from UEFN, which you see here, to Fortnite, which is over here, right? So I don't know that I can't speak to this personally. I don't work at Epic. I do not feel like, though, my opinion is that we'll ever see anything like that. And one of the things that I've actually asked Epic about is whether or not Unreal 6 is going to have the same requirement where we have to be connected to a server somewhere. And I don't think that that's going to be a thing. I haven't gotten an answer back on that yet. So I don't know. We don't know. I don't feel like it's going to be that way with Unreal 6 because that would slow down game development and all kinds of development in general significantly, as opposed to what we're doing here with the metaverse when we're working with Fortnite. So total opinion on mine and what I've been able to kind of put together as an Unreal authorized instructor, having conversations with Epic and how these things happen. I'm always asking these kinds of questions because if we can have students walk through and make this even faster with games and experiences so they can transfer those skills to other things like working in CAD projects or working in I know NASA uses Unreal Engine, that it just makes it so much faster as opposed to working in Unreal Engine, which can be overwhelming, but it's significantly faster in some sets. So hopefully that answers that question that was on in there. So we got that. All right, so let's go ahead and end the game. Now, the other thing I'm wondering too is the capsule size and the collision size of these objects. And if the collision on our tile needs to be a little bit larger. So I'm going to make this a little bit bigger. And we'll be able to test this because the player should now kind of float off this. So as an artist, my brain thinks collision before I start fiddling with the code, because if the collision isn't working, then the code isn't going to work in general. So now that I've changed this, I do need to push the changes though on our side. Any insight on your side there, PineFruit? You're muted. Okay, he's coming back. Wait for it.
All right. So I'm currently just working on rewriting this a slightly different way. I'm going to send the code directly over to you. That way we can try to plug it in.
So what we're doing here, if you've never done game design, this is pretty typical. We'll have a couple people working on a project just because two brains are typically better than one. It may not be as efficient because you kind of have to wait for one person to kind of get something done. Not that PineFruit is slow by any means. He's significantly faster than a lot of people that I've worked with. This is great, mostly because I've worked with people that have never played with this before. So, we talk about coming up with something in a game where you're like, I would have never thought of that, and the experience that goes behind that. That's why we do game jams, because we get a chance to be like, what is it that somebody's going to do that has no experience with this to break it? And we go through and try and figure that out. So there it is. Also, for the community that's watching this, even in the future in the chat, if you've got ideas on what's going on and how to fix this, let us know. And in the chat now, too, if you're like, oh, I think this would actually fix that, that'd be super cool.
Oh, for sure. Well, and for those of you that don't know verse code, in this situation, you could also reach back out to the AI assistant and let them know, like, hey, this isn't popping up.
It's not doing the thing. I mean, yeah, let's see what the AI has here. So if we drop in a little part in this one, let's say the tile, whoops, isn't vanishing. What should we check? There we go. See what we get in here. And it did give us some other things in here. So launch the section, player steps and collides with the tile. It should be on disabled. Yep. Should you need detecting of entities of fork characters and players? This is something I like about the way the AI revolution is slowly, or evolution, it's more of an evolution, has been changing. Let's come back up here. Where did it go? It just like skipped on me. Yeah, I know you're moving. Thank you. I appreciate that one. Was that it actually starts to ask us questions. And we've often talked about this in traditional programming as like rubber ducking. Like, okay, if I talk it out and I ask questions, what is going to happen? I've had it definitely ask me questions like, oh yeah, that would have been awesome to see if I could set that up differently.
Oh, for sure. Well, and requesting it to ask too. Like, ask clarifying questions to accomplish your task.
Yes, absolutely. Is it meant to be in portrait mode? It's hard to read the code. Yeah, I know the way that our streamer sets this thing up, I can't rotate the camera if you're looking at this on mobile. So I appreciate the feedback, and it's something that we're looking into to work with it. So we do have it on YouTube as portrait or landscape mode, so you can see this a little bit easier. So sorry about that, y'all. There are two different streams. There's a vertical version and there's a portrait. There's a portrait version and the landscape version of it. Okay, so it says your vanishing tile is not disappeared. Check the possible causes. Event subscription. It doesn't look like that code. So here's adding in. Yeah, see, it's adding in information. Yeah. So this is actually starting on begin simulation, so we can see if the whole thing is even working. That's a plus. And then on that one, right? And I think this comes back to what we were talking about too, is like something that seems so simple, and then all of a sudden it doesn't work. All right, let's see if this is actually firing on simulation. So I'm gonna save that, build that, push that, and then we'll jump into the engine. And what we're looking for is, and I'll zoom in on it too, is up here in the top left, we should get like a little print statement. Ooh, it's gonna be quick. If it's actually running. Okay, it did, it was there, I saw it.
So it did?
Yes.
Okay, then in that case, let's try something nice and simple, and let's just try setting the mesh component visibility to false, because maybe it's just not wanting to enable and disable it.
Could be a thing too. So we can go ahead, I'm just gonna copy this. Whoops. And then paste it and bring that. Oh, come on now, fingers. Wow, you're just gonna fight me today. Copy, paste, there we go. And we'll comment this one out. Oh, I I know you can do this. I know you can do this. There we go. How do we do this one? Visibility. Oh, you're throwing it at me. Thank you.
Got you.
All right, so we want, wow. Let's back this up. I got a better idea. We're going to take this. We're going to comment that out. Go to the bottom of it. So we can line all this up like so. Okay, cool. So what we've got going on here is we're going to check to see if we have that mesh component. And if we do.
So let's go ahead and tab that whole thing in one.
Oh, because we want it under that one, under the not vanished. I see where you got it. Cool. All right, save, build, push. So we're going to grab that mesh component, set its visibility, that little checkbox that I was talking about earlier. Whoops. Inside of the component and see if that works. You know, we were also kind of talking off screen about the door problem that comes along with it. It doesn't even like that. It doesn't even seem like it's pulling up that function like at all, because we're not seeing this print.
Still not getting the print.
Yeah, we're not getting this print either, right?
Oh, so it's a subscription. Okay. Let me
back this up. So we have deduced that this is not actually running because the subscribe is not actually happening in there. So there it is. Oh, good. It's not my mesh. But we got the art part right. I'm putting those pieces together.
Okay. Let me go ahead and send you this one instead.
Yes, I like what Troy's gotten in here too, right? So print, we can put a print statement in here to see if we're getting any information in this one. So let's say if fired. That's a terrible way to write that, but test, final test. And then it looks like you sent me something new. Somebody sent me something.
Maybe don't use that.
Okay, don't.
This is me pulling up. I just found the tutorial for displaying platform and was taking a look at that, but it's not using scene graph.
Oh, right. Yeah, the old one. Yeah, this is true. Okay, so it's not even giving me that if that's in there too. Oh, interesting. So not even this is going in there. Oh wait, that would show up as soon as the game starts. Hold on. We've got to check that, right? And by all means, y'all, if you got more questions, let us know. I'm going to move my camera back a little bit. My character's dropping where the camera is, so I don't want that firing immediately. So we should see two little statements up there at the top. I've got nothing on there. Let's go back out of there. Okay, if it fired. Okay, it is there. It is tiny. Okay, so we know that, right? So we know that this is working and this is working. So that does narrow it down to this because this one was not working. All right, and I can even make this larger because I know some people are looking at this on a tiny screen.
So if fired is the one that's not running?
This one works. This one is okay.
Interesting. Okay, yeah. So it does have a mesh component.
Yep. So
you know what? I bet we just have to sleep for a second for the subscription. I think if you, after mesh component, we'll add in a sleep 0.01 right before that line.
Right before this line? Oh, yeah. So in the if.
Yeah, so after we get it, we need to wait a second so that we make sure we've got it before we try subscribing to it.
Oh, you don't.
And then on the other side of the colon by void, between the parentheses and colon at the top of the function.
Oh, we need to start suspends up there.
Exactly.
Whoops. Even with the override, oh, can we not do it under an override?
It may just not like it on the override. All right, let's remove the suspends. We'll break out that into its own function.
Ah, there we go. Oh, you sent me a big old thing over here. Is that the thing you're saying?
No. Ignore that.
Okay, ignore that one.
So right after on begin simulation, We can go ahead and make a down 2 more lines, the super for it. Yeah, we'll go ahead and enter and make a new function under that. And we'll call it setup collision. And then that one will be parentheses, suspends at the end of it, and it'll return void as well.
Oops. Like that.
And then we'll go ahead and spawn that in the onBegin simulation.
Got it.
So, yeah.
I'm going to do it this way because we're doing it this way.
Amazing.
Well, we'll keep PineFruit happy here. We were just talking about this, like how, you know, when we're teaching this, like this syntax is not something that's often shown inside of verse in first documentation from Epic. So this is definitely, because there's like 5 ways to write a lot of this stuff, maybe not that many, but like the if statement, you can do a bunch of them. So knowing that this is the same as what's written in the verse documentation, it just looks different, can be super helpful. So, but we were talking about it off screen. I was like, I'll use this one because it's fun.
Oh, for sure.
Okay, push first changes. Why didn't it push on the other side? That's fine. We can do it here. Wait for it.
All right. Fingers crossed.
Okay, let's see what we got. Nothing there. Let's do a restart on it just in case, because sometimes. Subscribed entity. So we got the first print that's popping up. So this, let me bring this up here real quick. So this one's firing here. Cool. And then here, let's do another one here. All right. I think this simple thing is going to take up all our time today.
Yeah, I'm a little surprised, to be honest with you. I thought this one was going to be a quick
Easy
plug and play. I haven't actually made a device like this myself yet, though. So
see how it's going to work.
Good learning experience.
Right. What are we actually trying to accomplish? So what we're trying to do is we're trying to get this little platform to vanish when the player actually steps on it, right? Because we're working with verse and talking about components and how these things sometimes work and don't work. That's what it is. Making it happen. Did it happen? Didn't look like it happened there either. Interesting. Okay, well, we're gonna have to try and troubleshoot this some other time.
Yeah, I vote we
we move on.
Call it.
Which is such a bummer because sometimes working with this stuff is like it's so easy and it just works. I've been slowly chugging away on stuff in the background. Okay, it popped up in there, so it's definitely running. The print statement popped up there in the corner, so we know that function is actually running. So we know that much. Working with this stuff and working with students and getting these pieces to go, like this is one of the reasons when we do our game jams is we avoid working with verse unless we've got computer science students, because going through here and being able to read the syntax, like it's a whole layer of complexity that goes on top of it. So when teachers are looking to actually have us come out and do game jams, like we avoid this part because we know your students are able to kind of build it in. And we've seen students run with verse and just do some of the most amazing stuff. We were at Unreal Fest last year and we were working with the students over at Full Sail, and they were making amazing stuff and jumping into the verse stuff, and they just got it. They absolutely understood it. Knowing that what their level is at the college level versus something like junior high or high school makes a big difference in the development of them understanding what verse can do, because it can do a lot of the same stuff that event binding does. So there's that. So I'll leave this on screen for a little bit so everybody can kind of see. I'm going to make this a little bit smaller so we have the whole thing, right? So if anybody wants to kind of go through here and troubleshoot this and leave comments for watching this in the future, let us know what we missed and what's actually going on in there. We'll get the top of it so you can see the live.
It's probably something silly.
Oh, it's always something silly. It's like a dot or a checkbox or something. This is the way that it works every single time. So never fails. It never fails.
The purpose of the sleep is just a delay in the code. It prevents it from running one right after the other. So by putting a sleep 00 in there, it's basically sleeping for 1 tick.
Yes. So and the tick is the frame. So if you're running like 60 frames a second, like as soon as one frame ends, the other one starts. It waits that one frame, which is a common thing inside of video games because we want things to happen at a specific time. And even inside of Unreal Engine, there's the delay node, which is basically the same as the sleep. So the delay blueprint node, and by default, it's set at about 0.02 or 0.2 seconds. So it's the same kind of idea. Like we want to just wait a frame so that it has time to calculate what it needs to do, and then it can do it afterwards. So does that answer your question, Troy? I'll take that as a most likely, hopefully. There's an 8-second delay from when I say something till everybody actually sees it, and then there's a delay when they answer. So I have to wait on those.
Before your next Ask Us Anything, I'll go ahead and get you a scene graph component built for this, get it tested in the back end, that we can jump in and just kind of decompile it and figure out what the differences were between them, and I'll try to make it as simple as possible so that it's like as close to what you've got there.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is really what, this is the reason that I wanted to have PineFruit join us this month, because the stuff that's being built that you're putting together to help people out, like this is awesome to kind of go back and forth and see what's going on. And yeah, nothing vanished, which is good, because we couldn't see it, we wouldn't know that it was there, right? And this is what it is. So I think we won on that one. Thank you everybody for your questions that have come in over the past couple of weeks that have coming into this stuff that I've been working with. Thank you to all the teachers that we've been working with. Thank you to the students that have been building all the cool game jam stuff. I know I learned a bunch of things. We found a few bugs that I need to send off to Epic, so I do make those things happen as well to make sure that we as developers and teachers actually make lives a whole lot easier. If you want to learn more about the courses that we're creating, reach out to us. You can hit us up at cleverlike.com. It's pretty easy to figure out where we can help you out. We're always doing that. I'm actually going to be writing some more tutorials. Some of you may have noticed that a lot of our tutorials are kind of like dwindled. We're building full-on classes and courses right now. So that's where all my time and effort and energy is going to, and my voice. I can actually talk today. This is pretty amazing. So yeah, it's all that one. Thank you, K-State, for joining us. Appreciate having you, gentlemen and ladies. If you're all in there, I know who you all are, so that's super cool. And PineFruit, thank you so much for contributing to the community and joining us this month. And yeah, we'll look forward to a small little verse file that will help us make things disappear in the future. So please go check out PineFruit stuff. He's doing amazing things with the community and building up what we want as far as more developers that are inside of this area. I know you do commissions and stuff as well. So if you're looking for someone that wants, so if you know somebody that wants a commission or you want PineFruit to help you out with your stuff, contact him. Make sure that that information is going through. And if that, thank you all. We'll go ahead and roll off.
Hey, UEFN's got all the creative talent. What it's missing is the infrastructure.
There we go.
So that's what we're building. If you're building tools, reach out to us. I'd love to be in contact.
Yes, absolutely.
Take care, guys. It was a pleasure getting to meet you.
Yep. I am going to go ahead and sign off. I see somebody's asking if I can hang around a minute. Drop a question in there, or of course, you can email me. So just Ian@Cleverlike. I can help answer questions on that side of it too. I will drop that in there. So later, y'all. I'm going to take off too.